In an application where you'll be using a full-scale database, in other words, one where the user will save data to the database, edit it, modify it, and need to view it. One of the best techniques for doing that is to create a separate database package which creates a modular structure, and it creates your classes that you use for working with your database in a separate file, and then you can call them from within your other screens or your other activities. So for example, this database I'm going to demonstrate would be an assignment tracker, and what we're just going to cover in this part is how to add some records to the database. So we're going to go to Add Assignment, bring up another activity where we can add content. So after we have some data in here to add in for our assignments, then we can click Add Assignment, and this is going to clear it out, give us a toast message saying it was added, and then a link to go back to the main page where we'll be able to view the assignments. Now I haven't set this up to be able to go out and grab the assignment information in here, but we'll do a toast so that we can see the records that have been added. So this will give you an idea of how the database will be structured. We're going to have 4 fields, one for the assignment name, one for the due date, one for the course name or the class name, and another one for notes. So those will be the 4 fields that will be created in our SQL database. So we'll go back to our Eclipse editor and review the setup that I have so far. Okay, to begin with, I'm going to open up my assignment tracker Java file, which has the main setup in here, and I'm also going to open up my main XML. Okay, my main XML file, I have a button set up with the ID of add. So it's set up in my Java file so that it has an on-click listener. So we're getting the value of the button. We have an on-click listener that starts a new intent, and the new intent is the add assignment class. And the add assignment class is what's going to open up the add XML view, which has our edit texts in here for our name, the due date, the course or class, and then the notes. And then the add assignment button here, right, is called, the ID for it is add assignment, and it's set up with an on click so that it will do the add assignment method in the add assignment Java file. View assignments has an on click to do a view assignments method, which will load back to the main XML page. Okay, let's look at the Java file again, and it's set up with the standard on create, and it loads the main layout, and we have our button listener that opens up the add assignment activity. And then down here we have some code that's related to working with our database. Now, to work with this, I have a lot of it commented out because we're going to go in and do a little bit at a time. But to work with this, we have another file that we are accessing for some of these methods, like the open method and insert record and get all records. Those are contained in a separate Java file called dbadapter. So if I open up the dbadapter Java file, a lot of developers will use this modular structure. So we're creating a section of constants that will be used in our application. So these include things like the names of our fields. So our ID is going to be our primary key or unique identifier. And then we'll have our other fields from our form for the assignment title, the due date, the course name, and their notes. And then we also have a tag and string in here for when we go to do a log.d to display things to the console. And then also some constants for the database name and the table name in the database, and also the version of the database. We're also creating a string that will create the database if it's not already created. So this actually is an SQL statement that will create a table, if it doesn't already exist, called assignments. And the fields that it will add will be an ID, which will be an integer, and it's the primary key, and it's going to auto increment, meaning every time a new record's added, it's going to add another value to the ID. It's also going to create a field called title, and it's going to be variable characters. Can't be null, it can't be empty, so we're requiring a title to be in there. Due date is the date type. Course is also variable characters, and notes is variable characters. We'll be using this to create a table if it doesn't already exist when we open our database. Now, down in this section, we are working with a class called Database Helper, which extends the SQLite Open Helper. And that's what some of this content is up here, is getting these settings so that we can use them in this other class. So our Database Helper class is going to encapsulate our database interactions. In other words, the things that our database is going to use is going to be stored in here, and then we can refer out to it. So we have things like on create to create a database called DB. So we can see here the exec SQL command like we had in the other example. It's going to do a database create, which refers to our SQL string that we had up here to create the table in the database. And if it's not able to give us the error message as to why.